Happy October, my dear writer friends, or shall I say, happy Preptober. If you're participating in NaNoWriMo this year, or you're simply writing a novel and curious how I prep my own novels before I start writing, then this video is for you. Coming up, my own personal 5-step NaNoWriMo prep process, or my novel prep process. Hello, Jessica Brody here, author of the #1 bestselling plotting guides, Save the Cat Writes a Novel, Save the Cat Writes a Young Adult Novel, and the founder of the Writing Mastery Academy. I've written over 20 novels, and over that time, I've definitely honed my novel prep process. So I thought I'd break it down here in this video and share it with you in case it helps you with your own novel prep. First up, what is novel prep? And what is Preptober? Preptober is the unofficial name for the month of October, when writers prepare for National Novel Writing Month, aka NaNoWriMo, which takes place over the course of November. During Preptober, novelists like myself typically do some type of prep work, like creating novel outlines or beat sheets, brainstorming and developing characters, or world building, and setting up strategies for how they're going to crush the goal of writing 50,000 words in the month of November. So how do I prep my NaNoWriMo novels? Well, pretty much the same way I prep all of my novels. So this video applies to anyone writing a novel, whether it's for NaNoWriMo or not. Here we go. Step 1, idea exploration. I usually start my novel prep process with an idea that's already been brewing in my mind. Side tip, if you don't yet have an idea, check out my Develop Blockbuster Ideas online course, which is a quick 90-minute course that's completely on demand and guarantees you'll walk away with at least one new shiny idea that you're excited to write. I'll link to that in the description below. So once I have my shiny new idea, I spend some time exploring it, playing with it, if you will. I try not to set any structure, guidelines, or limits on myself during this step. I just want to spend some time, usually about a week, thinking about the idea, living inside of the idea. And I'll usually just let my brain dictate where the brainstorm goes. I'll think about where the story could take place, who the lead characters and supporting characters might be, what kind of voice I want the narrators to have, what kind of things I want to happen in the plot, what kind of themes I want to explore, stuff like that. I like to do this kind of exploration aloud with a recording app. I've loved using otter.ai, which is not a sponsorship, to record my brainstorms because it also transcribes them as I talk. So I have those for my notes later. So this time is spent walking around my yard or my office, just talking things out, getting excited about some things, feeling blah about some other things, but generally getting things out of my head. I absolutely love this part of the brainstorm process because it feels like a lavish soak in a hot bath. The hot bath being the idea, of course. Moving on. Step 2, building my story Bible. After I finish languishing in my idea bath, I typically spend a day or two creating the structure of my story Bible or story plan, which is a growing document or database where all the details of my story will live from here until I'm finished revising. I've used lots of different software in the past to build my story Bibles. Word or Google Docs works great if you use the style headers to build a table of contents, and lots of writers prefer apps like Scrivener, Dabble, Plotter, or the Save the Cat story software. I've also started experimenting with building my story Bibles in Notion, which I'm actually really loving as it's super flexible and robust. An old-fashioned notebook will also do just fine. If you're going to choose the old-fashioned notebook option, I'd opt for one with tabs so you can label them and stay organized. You can also create your own tabs using Post-it notes. The whole idea here is organization, structure, being able to sort your ideas into easy-to-access categories, which makes the drafting phase so much smoother, so you're not spending half of your precious daily writing time searching for those old ideas. I typically organize my story Bible into characters, plot, world, or setting, and notes. Within characters, I have a profile for each POV character and side character. Then within each character, I create subheadings for things I want to brainstorm or learn about each one, like problems, wants, needs, backstory, etc. Within plot, I keep beat sheets, chapter outlines, and synopses if I choose to do them. Within world or setting, I create a profile for every setting and location in the story with subheadings for things I want to brainstorm or learn about each one, like lighting, mood, history, key sensory details, etc. And finally, within notes, I put everything else, like random ideas that I don't have a place for yet, notes from research that I do for the book, and brainstorms that I haven't actually finalized yet. This is my general final dumping ground for ideas until they become more concrete, and then I move them to their dedicated place within the story Bible. If you want a bit more guidance on building a story Bible or a story plan, check out my novel fast drafting course where I walk through creating one with you. This course is also on demand, and I've linked to it in the description below. Step 3, organizing my ideas. Once I've created a neat and tidy place to put everything, I start organizing. This is when I listen back through all of my brainstorm notes or read the transcriptions and start sorting through my ideas and notes, making sure they end up in the right place in the story Bible. This step usually takes me a few days depending on how many early ideas I had. As I do this, new ideas inevitably pop up, so I make sure to jot those down in their rightful places as well. By the end of this step, I have the very early makings of a story plan taking shape. It's very exciting. At this stage, I usually don't have a full beat sheet or outline yet, but I might have a few rough ideas for some of the beats, perhaps a few character details, or maybe even a few setting details as well. But at this stage, nothing is really complete or ready for the first draft yet. At least not for me. It's all very Swiss cheesy at this point, aka full of holes, which means it's time to start my serious brainstorming. Step 4. Serious brainstorming. This is typically the longest step in the process for me, and I like to dedicate at least 2 weeks to it, if not more. During those weeks, I usually go section by section through my story Bible and work on fleshing everything out with as much detail as I can. This includes fleshing out character profiles, beat sheets, and my setting profiles. This is usually not a super logical or sequential part of the process for me. It feels more like my brain is a pinball bouncing around from idea to idea. But thankfully, because of step 2, building my story Bible, I can capture those ideas in a more organized way because I have a dedicated place to put everything. For instance, if I'm working on my beat sheet or novel outline, I might start in the beat sheet section of my Bible, but because plot is so connected to character, I will inevitably get some new ideas about one of my characters, and will have to bounce over to the character section of the Bible, jot those ideas down, and then return to the beat sheet section to keep going with plot. But sometimes that character idea will spark an idea about a setting, so I'll bounce over to the setting section, jot those ideas down, and go on and on like that, and so forth. And a little bonus tip, don't delete anything. When new ideas come out of your brainstorm that negate old ideas, instead of replacing the old idea, just strike through it and put the new idea next to it. That way you still have a record of the old idea if you ever want to resurrect it. I usually don't delete those strike through notes until well into the revision process. If you're using Word, you can delete the older ideas with track changes, and Word will keep them archived for you. For me, this part of the process always feels partly chaotic and partly exhilarating. It's a rush during which I'm trying to madly capture everything. Recording apps help here too if the ideas are coming too fast and furiously to write them all down. And I often feel quite breathless and fatigued at the end of each brainstorming session, but also invigorated. It's my favorite of the prep process. Eventually though, things start to take shape. My character profiles start filling up, my beat sheets start filling out, my settings start feeling like real places, and the ideas stop flowing like a geyser and start trickling out like the last droplets of water from a hose after it's been shut off. That for me is usually a sign that I'm ready to start writing. The brainstorm has become more of a brain sprinkle, which means I've pre-discovered nearly everything I can pre-discover. Now it's time to start writing, so I can discover the rest. And there will be plenty more. If you need help brainstorming your beat sheet or novel outline, check out my official Save the Cat novel writing course, where I guide you step by step through the Save the Cat process and brainstorm a novel right along with you. This course is also on demand, so you can take it at your own pace. I've linked to it in the description below. And finally, step 5, research and last-minute prep. The fifth and final step I do in prepping my novels is any research that I think will help me in the drafting. Now that I roughly know what the story is going to be and who the characters are, I can complete any research or last-minute prepping and organizing of my story Bible. I want my story Bible to be pretty clean and organized before I start drafting, as I know it will get very messy again during the first draft phase when I'm hastily jotting down ideas for revision and future scenes in my story Bible. I don't normally do a full story Bible reorganization until after the first draft is done and I'm ready to start revising. This is also a good time in the process to prep your schedule and calendar as well, finding those dedicated times to write each day. If you don't have a solid writing routine, I've created a YouTube video that walks you step by step through the process of creating one that is designed to activate your creativity every day. I'll link to that in the description below if you want to check it out. You can also check out my Productivity Hacks for Writers course if you want even more tried and true tips for getting maximum words down on the page in the least amount of time. Writers who have taken this course in the past have reported increasing their daily word counts by over 200%. Like all my courses, this is completely self-paced and on demand. The link is in the description below. I've talked about a lot of courses today, and if you're interested in any of them, I've got some good news for you. The Writing Mastery Academy gives you unlimited access to all of my online writing courses, including all the ones I mentioned today. Check out the description below to find out how you can get unlimited access to all of these courses. So that's my novel prep routine. I wish you the best of luck in NaNoWriMo or any novel writing endeavor. May the word count be with you.